We are live. There we go. Now, if you want to see it yourself and check out the comments, you can open up another window and go to Black News 102. Sonetta, Black News 102.
I think I'm going to leave the comment section alone.
Okay.
So it's best that I don't look at the comment section.
Right. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. You know, that's the peanut gallery. We call that the peanut gallery.
It is, and it's you know, it's toxic and distracting. So
right. Okay, peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another Sonetta TV House of Consonants production. As you already know by now, we are here with Cynthia G in the building, and we're gonna do this one-on-one interview with the sister. Hold on, ain't nobody. Yes, there we go. Let's get it started. Okay. All right. Let's play a little couple of. Let's play a song. Let the people know that we live. People, I got to send out a strong server than this, so they know we live up in the building. Okay, here we go. We're gonna start this thing off right. New music from Connie's son.
it sounds like gospel music.
What'd you say?
It sounds like gospel music.
Oh, nah, it's hip hop.
Let me talk to you. I don't wanna fight, I don't wanna argue. If we acknowledge the problem, then maybe we can solve it, babe. Ain't gotta speak. Oh no, please don't bother. The pain too deep between you and me, don't let it go no further. I respect you like my mother, you love me like your father. We barely knew our parents, so that made our job much harder. By the blind, we both was brought up. No love is what they taught us. We reciprocate the hate we learned, and somehow they still fought us. All we needed was some tender love and care. A crowded room, don't be confused, ain't none there. Say all we needed was some tender love and care. They want you around, but you feel love when you not there. Oh, it ain't fair. You see, I promise I would never push you, never hit you. I will only love you. Promise that I got the tat and prove that there can never be another. Promise that I got your back and we would never let each other struggle. I honor that you got my back, cause you the brain and baby, I'm the muscle, so I trust you. That's why I love you. You keep the devil beneath your feet, but God above you. Babe, that's why I trust you. That's why I love you. You keep the devil beneath your feet, but God above you. They call us the power couple. Shout out to others who left some things along the way, but not each other. Hey, my power couple, straight from the struggle. They lost some things along the way, but not each other. They call them. You can put the house in your name. I can put the lights in my name. You can put the gas in your name. Put the leeway in my name. I can put the car in your name. Put the cable in my name. I pay it off with my change. Never want to hear you complain. Yeah, now I respect you like my sister. You trust me like your brother. Our friends have separated, but we still ain't left each other. They talk down because they jealous. Move on is what they tell us. When the love is strong, get in your bone. It's known to be rebellious. All we needed was some tender love and care. You call on family, for some ain't none there. Say all we needed was some tender love and care. You got that love, it's best you keep it, cause it's real. It ain't fair, you see. I promise I would never push you, never hit you, never did respect you. Promise that it's ever drama, I'm the one that's coming to protect you. Promise that I got your back, and if you ever feeling any pressure, I honor that you got my back, cause we unstoppable when we together, so I trust you. That's why I love you. Yeah, you keep the devil beneath your feet, but God above you. Babe, that's why I trust you. That's why I love you. You keep the devil beneath your feet, but God above you. They call us the power couple. Shout out to others who left some things along the way, but not each other.
Hey, welcome to another Sonetta TV House of Consciousness production. You already know what it is. You see who's on the screen. We got the most beautiful, lovely Cynthia G in the building. And this is going to be a one-on-one conversation. We will open up the phone later on for question and answer. I would ask that as long as we can keep it respectful, then you're good. You know what I'm saying? So, without any further ado, I would like to bring to you Cynthia G. How you doing, my sister? Introduce yourself to the audience.
I'm good. A lot of people but if you're not, I'm Cynthia G. I have a YouTube channel. I tend to be popular, not in the sense of but a lot of people are kind of familiar with my content. It's very controversial, but ultimately, my goal is to educate the Black community and help to recondition us so that we can really obtain true liberation.
All right, my sister. Well, you're going to have that opportunity right now to come on over here and educate Black News 102 and the people that comes over here and chill out and hang out with us. The first question I have for you, my sister, is that yesterday was the voting system that was going on. There was a lot of things going on. A lot of people went out and vote. Do you feel that it is that we need to go out and vote in order to change our condition? What should we do today with the voting system? If not, then what should we do, my sister?
I think that we did not vote to be in a system of white supremacy. Therefore, voting is not going to liberate us from white supremacy. I do think voting can be effective, but with the current mind state of Black people where we vote from tradition, we vote out of fear, we vote because we don't like a current politician that's in office, I think that is detrimental and is counterproductive. Unless there's a solid agenda that's going to specifically benefit the Black community and address the sensitive situation that we're in, meaning the mass incarceration, the wealth gap, the unemployment rate, the high rate of unemployment, and also even when Black people are employed, the vast disparity in the amount that they get paid in comparison to the white community, despite having the same credentials and education. Unless we're going to vote specifically to rectify those issues, then we shouldn't be voting. I think that at this point, we've proven to be political sluts where we just give our vote out. We don't receive anything in return. And I think that that's a mistake. The interesting thing is I just did a live stream yesterday on voting, and I showed proof that despite Black people voting locally and presidential, nothing has changed really for the Black community in the past 50 years. So clearly, voting right now is not beneficial to the Black community. Even with this current campaign, I've asked numerous people, who said they voted, what are you voting for, and what was on the ballot, what piece of legislation was beneficial to the empowerment of the Black community, and they couldn't even answer that question. Meanwhile, a lot of them were going out trying to shame people into voting.
Okay, so Cynthia, if you take away the voting, then what do you replace that with? Like, what should we be doing as a people to liberate ourselves? If you take away our voting, because a lot of people feel that this is the only thing I could do is pull that lever or go behind a glorified shower curtain and choose who would be the one. So what should we do if we eliminate voting from the community?
Well, the thing is, to say take away something means that we're getting something, and we're not getting anything from voting. So this is what I want Black people to understand. To stop giving your attention to something that's not serving you, it doesn't do anything but benefit you. There's power in your ability to withhold your vote. Right now, you have the Democratic Party, who Black people have voted out of tradition for since they've been able to vote. You have them who don't have to do anything. They don't have to address one issue in the Black community, but they guarantee to get the Black vote. That's problematic. When you become that predictable to where your political parties know that they don't have to address your issue, they don't have to put anything on the ballot that's going to benefit you, you're going to vote anyway. That's a very, very dangerous position to be in. The fact that Black people think that they need to vote is problematic. Again, if we were voting for things that are within our best interest, that would be one thing. But even on a local level, I'm failing to see how voting is changing anything for Black people. We still have inadequate access to health care. Some Black people don't have health care at all. That's a local issue. We still have underfunded schools. That's a local issue. We still have a lot of Black people who are not able to purchase homes because they can't get homeowner loans. That's a local issue. We still have race soldiers murdering Black people with impunity. That's a racial issue, a local issue. We still have over policing in Black communities, that's a local issue. So I'm failing to understand how voting is benefiting Black people. I think right now Black people need to stop voting so that they can show that we're not of the belief system that voting is going to do something. I mean, you need to send a message to the people who are expecting you to vote. Because ultimately, again, if a person or a group or an entity thinks that they don't have to do anything to gain your vote, they're not going to do anything. We need to withhold our vote until someone puts an agenda on there that's specifically going to cater to the sensitive and unique situation that Black people are facing. And if they're not going to do that, we shouldn't be voting, because honestly, it's counterproductive and it goes against our interests. A lot of these policies, local and presidential, that Black people have voted for benefits other groups and disenfranchises our group. So I think at this point, we need to get out of the mentality of voting until we're voting for a specific agenda for Black people.
All right. Thank you, my sister. Powerful. I've been checking you out sometime, here and there. And I noticed that you talk a lot about the Black-white dynamic, the Black man, white woman relationship. Should Black people date white people? Do you have a problem with Blacks dating whites?
I think a lot of people get my message in terms of interracial dating. They get it, they misunderstand it, because my core issue with interracial dating is that it doesn't benefit Black people at all. In fact, it's 100% to the detriment of Black people. Number one, it causes a whitewashing of the Black community. It neutralizes Black men. Nobody can point out a Black man who is with a white woman who is working for the betterment of the Black community. It just doesn't exist. It gives white people an excuse to say, look, I'm not racist because I'm laid up with this Black person. Generally, the Black person dating a white person aligns themselves with the belief system of the white person. They don't bring the white person into their belief system in terms of empowerment for Black people. And that's because generally, Black people who date white are not about the empowerment of the Black community. They're about assimilation. So if Black people were able to weaponize dating white people the way white people weaponize dating Black people, then I would be all for it. But the fact of the matter is that they don't. White people are extracting wealth out of the Black community by way of interracial dating, specifically through the Black man. And I think that when we fail to look at the history and how dedicated Black men have been to gaining access to white women, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice. This is not just a surface issue where love is love. The truth of the matter is, contrary to what a lot of these occult scholars will put out information, Black men have been fighting for access to white women since 18 years after the emancipation of slavery. And that began with the case Pace v. Alabama. And it took place, I believe, in 1883, where a Black man petitioned the Supreme Court to overturn anti-miscegenation laws so that because he was prosecuted for being with a white woman. He was put in jail for being with a white woman. The white woman was placed in jail with him. The Black man petitioned the Supreme Court to try to get anti-miscegenation laws overturned so that he could be with a white woman. Now, when you hear about the cases that legalized it, you only hear about Loving versus Virginia, but there was actually 3 cases that were initiated by Black men before Loving versus Virginia took place that actually paved the way for Loving versus Virginia. In addition to Pace v. Alabama, you had Perez v. Smith, where another Black man in California, because California had anti-miscegenation laws as well. A lot of people tend to think because it's a West Coast state that they didn't really have Jim Crow, but they did. So they had the same anti-miscegenation laws. And in that case, a Black man wanted to marry a white Mexican. So when he was denied a marriage license, he then went to the Supreme Court as an attempt to get anti-miscegenation laws deemed unconstitutional so he could be with the white woman. Then you had McLaughlin v. Florida, and I believe that occurred in 1964. So this is prior to the Loving versus Virginia, 3 years before Loving was able to go up there and get the laws passed globally. Another Black man petitioned the Supreme Court in Florida to get anti-miscegenation laws overturned so that he could be with a white woman as well. And he wasn't trying to marry her. He wanted to be able to cohabitate with her. So I think that these cases, and if we look at the interracial dating now, the rate of it, considering with Black men, is nearly 3 times that of Black women. We're ignoring a pathology that we shouldn't be ignoring. This is not just surface love, who you want to love. This is a pattern that shows that Black men have had a dedication to assimilating into whiteness via the white woman. And that's why we can't really get these men who are in interracial relationships to have a vested interest in the Black community, because they never had one to begin with. Once they were able to get free and open access to white women, they stopped fighting. We haven't seen Black men really fight for anything since the civil rights movement. And I suspect that the primary motivation behind that was to gain sexual access to white women without being strung up from trees or thrown into jail or murdered, which in some cases that's still the case. It's still happening, but it just looks a little different. So that's my issue with interracial dating. And this is actually why I get attacked the most. Contrary to what people believe, I get attacked the most because of my views on interracial dating and for the fact that I specifically focus on Black men, and I will not balance something that's not balanced. When you have Black men dating and marrying interracial at a rate that's nearly 3 times that of Black women, I can't balance that because it's not equal. So I can't equalize something. The agenda now.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry?
Finish off. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the agenda now is to prevent white genocide by way of promotion of interracial unions. That is what they're doing right now. They know that their community is dying. They know that they've whitewashed Black populations all throughout history. So they're trying to do that now with the American Black population. And unfortunately, the rate of interracial dating that Black men is engaging in is causing Black women's interracial dating to increase. And I think that unfortunately, a lot of our men don't understand cause and effect relationships. They don't understand how their behavior influences a lot of the behavior in their women. So I think they're willing to overlook it. And I also don't like the double standard. There is a vast double standard where Black men are accepting of Black men with white women, but they will call a Black woman with a white man a bed wench all day, every day. So I think that the fact that there is that double standard is a problem as well.
Okay, my sister. What do you consider yourself to be? A revolutionary, a racist, a pro-Black woman? Or you just for your people? Like, what do you consider yourself to be? A racist, pro-Black, or just love Black people, doing the work for your people?
I'm just for my people. I don't like the whole pro-Black title. I think being pro-Black is convoluted and contradictory. So I don't even associate myself with any pro-Black title. And I've said this like several times, and a lot of people tend to have a hard time with that. But the reality of it is pro-Blackness means you can date within your oppressors, okay? Because a lot of people will run around, and you've probably seen it yourself, where they'll have debates over, can you be pro-Black and date white? Now, I don't subscribe to that belief system. A lot of people believe that you can. A lot of people believe that you can go out and create non-Black children and still be pro-Black. And
time out, Cynthia. To be pro-Black disqualifies you automatically from going outside of your race. So let me make that clear. If you're going to be, that's what pro-Black mean. It means you first, your people first. Anything that you do is about uplifting your people, your community, your family, not the other, not outside of that. You see, that might come somewhere along down the line when we uplift and raise up for ourselves. But to be pro-Black means to be pro yourself. Like, I would feed my baby before I go outside of that and feed someone else's child. You see what I'm saying? I ain't talking about Black. I'm talking about another nationality. My children got to be fed first. That's what I mean when you say pro-Black. I'm talking about putting yourself, your people first.
Right. And I believe that too. But the way that pro-Black is used and defined throughout the online conscious community, it's they believe that you can be pro-Black and date white. And to me,
no, that's not being pro-Black. That's contradicted right there. So that disqualifies them.
That's why I don't subscribe to it, because it's wholly contradictory. It just, to me, it's just a mess. I don't want to be associated with it because it's a mockery. It's not to be taken serious. Now, if we had the authentic version of what pro-Black means, which pro simply just means that you're for your people.
Right.
So if we were embodying that definition, then yeah, I will attach myself to it. But as it stands right now, no, I don't want to be attached to the contradictory mess that is pro-Blackness, as defined by even within the so-called conscious community. Okay. But I am a separatist, though. I believe that Black people need to be more racist. They need to be separate. They need to be selfish, and they need to get out of the mentality of being all inclusive, because that does not work for us. That works against us.
I agree 100%. Why do you think it's so important for the Black man to rise up, to stand up, and to be the standard in the Black community? Why is it important for the Black man?
Well, because if you look at how we got to how we are right now, they had to first neutralize and conquer the Black man. If you look at war tactics, and it doesn't just apply to Black men, it applies to any community that is trying to be conquered. They have to get the men first, because the men are the physical force. They're biologically designed to ward off invaders and to prevent invasion. Really, the women become par for the course when the men become dominated. So ultimately, if Black women wanted to go their own way and say, okay, well, we're just going to be liberated, separate of Black men, that could not happen, because we're unprotected. So women, when it comes to having to fight against men are going to win all the time. We're not biologically equipped to win unless we have men on our team. So that's why it's important for Black men to show the strong warrior presence that they really have. It's essential. We can't get anywhere without it. And that's why I believe we're not getting anywhere, because our men are not of the mindset that they need to be the pillars and the heads of the community. They simply just don't believe that. And I think that too many of them have a vested interest outside of the community, to where they would prefer to seek protection from white supremacy in the arms of a white woman. And that really doesn't do anything for us. So I think we're at a stagnant standstill until our men choose to be the warriors that they were created to be.
Yes. What do you think the Black woman need to do to really help the Black man, and vice versa? The same thing with the Black man. What do we need to do to help our Black woman? Because we are divided. We are separated. So what do you think we need to do? What's going on with the Black relationship, Black male-female relationship?
I think the core problem with the Black male-female relationship is that, again, there's not enough Black men who really have a vested interest. I think because now they have access to other races of women, I think that removes any incentive for them to feel like they even have to do right by their women. Because right now, as it stands, is that if a Black woman puts more expectations on a Black man than he wants, he will simply go be with another race of women. And I think that has had a detrimental effect on the community. And if you look at history, there was a time where Black women, and for the most part, Black women still are extremely loyal to Black men. I think Black women are more loyal to Black men than Black men are to Black women.
Really?
Because, yeah, okay, they are. And I'm going to tell you what shows that. What illustrates that is their unwillingness, for the most part, to deviate from Black men as a mate. Okay, because that right there shows you they want Black men. If Black women were engaging in the amount of racial disloyalty that Black men were, there would be no Black community right now. We would have probably already died out. We need to understand that it is because Black women primarily want to be with and procreate with Black men. That is why you still have the Black community growing in numbers. If Black women didn't, you would just have a bunch of the Black community would be biracial, because as it stands right now, the majority of the biracial people in this country, which is actually increasing, most of them have a Black father and a white mother. So if Black women were really to engage in this racial disloyalty to the extent that Black men have, you wouldn't have a lot of Black. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't have a lot of Black people. I think that Black women's loyalty to Black men, although we do by and large have an attitude of disrespect towards Black men, I would never say that Black women respect Black men. By and large, we don't. By and large, we don't believe that Black men are able to be effective leaders. And I don't think that they've been shown that they've been able to be effective leaders. I don't think that we believe that they be effective.
That's deep right there, what you're saying.
Well, we don't.
You're saying that our women don't look at us or don't see us as effective leaders, sister?
No, by and large, we don't.
Go ahead.
And I
y'all hear this, brothers? We got to step our game up, family. We got to step our game up, brothers. Go ahead, sister.
I think that ignoring the mentality of the women and the belief system of the women that bring you into existence is very detrimental. Because I've had Black women come onto my channel and propose that Black women stop having children completely, or completely just abort Black male babies. And I think that they're brushing that off as something of self-hate, which granted, some of them are operating from a place of self-hate. Some of them are not, though. They really believe that this is the solution to the problem because they believe that Black men are simply not going to stand up. So when you get your women to thinking that genocide is the solution, you're in a detrimental place. And although that number is low right now, it is increasing. And the thing of it is to me, I think that Black people really need to understand preventative measures. You don't let something get out of hand. You prevent it before it does. And there is a lot of women, a growing number of women in the Black community who not only believe that other races of men are better mates, they believe that Black men shouldn't even be birthed into existence. And that needs to be paid attention to. And I think until Black men start showing that they are loyal to their women, that they do value their women, and that they value the creation of Black children, by and large, I think the attitude and the mentality is not going to change. And I fear that Black men are not going to take it seriously, so it's not going to change. It's just going to get worse.
All right. Right. That's powerful. And I know a lot of our people, we can't really take that truth hard when you say things like that. You know, the truth is hard, man. It's a hard pill to swallow, you know, but I'm gonna move on from that right there. That's powerful right there.
Well, because here's the thing, like you have this narrative where a lot of Black men are saying that they're not going to protect Black women. They won't protect Black women because they've taken on feminism or whatever. But in real life and in reality, we see that Black men, by and large, are not even protecting themselves from white supremacy. They allow white women to disrespect them, and they show passivity and forgiveness, and they allow white men to disrespect them. They're not protecting themselves. So it becomes a disingenuous argument, and we know that it's a disingenuous argument when they say that they're not protecting us because of feminism. Because if you're not even protecting yourself and you didn't have the Black man side with feminism, then clearly feminism isn't the issue because you're not protecting yourself or the children. So these are things that we see, but a lot of Black men think that they can throw out these tropes and these disingenuous arguments and somehow we're going to think the issue is feminism when we know that it's not. That may be part of it, but that's not the core issue. It's not the causal factor of why they're not protecting their women, because quite frankly, Black men weren't protecting their women on the plantation. And this is before feminism was even introduced. So clearly that's a disingenuous argument.
All right, family. Do y'all hear that, brothers? Do she have a point there, brothers? Because I'm gonna just keep it real. We sit back and we allow people to tear and disrespect our women. We don't act like them goddamn Arabs that be over there where they protect their women, where they will not allow a Black man to get close to their women. So she might have something there. You know what I'm saying? We got to look at it. We got to weigh the scale on that right there. So let me ask you, my sister, what is the difference between, according to you, what is the difference between Black women and European women and the white woman? What's the difference that you see? In process of relating to their man. Do you think she supports her man more so than the Black woman supporting hers?
I think that there shouldn't even be a comparison between how white women treat her man and how Black women treat regards to her man, because the reality of it is Black men are not providing to Black women what white men are providing to white women. So again, this is when we have to look at relationship dynamics and cause and effects relationships. white men are protecting white women from other groups of the other communities, regardless to anything. They don't really care, regardless to whether a white woman dates black men, regardless to whether she subscribes to feminism, regardless to what she does. He's going to protect the white woman from all other races of people. That doesn't mean that he's treating her well, because we already know they have a high rate of domestic fatalities. We already know how they get down in their community. But the reality of it is it doesn't matter who that white woman is or who she's with. When it comes to her word over the word of another race of man, the white man is going to take her word and protect her. He is going to do that without question. You also don't see white men all over any media apparatus talking about how disgusting white women are and how much better other races of women are. So when we think about the relationship dynamic that black women have with white men in comparison to, or I meant white women have with white men in comparison to how black women have with black men, we can't equalize it, because the reality of it is black men are not operating the way that white men are with their women. Like, even, for example, I was doing a live stream with, I believe it was Nyla or someone, and we were discussing the topic of hair. And we were talking about how black men are the single exclusive group of men who attack their women on their personal appearances. Now, a lot of men got into the comment section and said, oh, well, that's because white women are not all over the place wearing black hairstyles. So I actually showed them on YouTube. You have a number of different videos where white women are in there trying to get their hair to be an afro. They're in there with box braids. They're in there with braided singles. And the only thing white men are doing on those videos is defending white women's right to wear hairstyles that are traditionally African. Now, if you go on any video where black women is wearing weave, and you can probably look into your comment section and you probably had a bunch of dudes mentioning weave now. Black men are the only ones who are doing this. They are the only ones who will sit up on social media and denigrate their women. And I don't see white men in videos with black women disparaging white women because he chooses to date a black woman. So they're not operating the same as black men are operating. Therefore, they're getting a different response from their women. When black men start showing that they have value for their women, you won't see black women operating the way that they operate. And that's why I say I think that black men are having a hard time understanding cause and effect relationships and consequences to actions. And their actions are directly actually causing black women's actions towards them. They just don't understand that. They're not understanding that because a lot of them don't want to take accountability for their behavior. And that in and of itself is really annoying, and it's a turnoff. It's like, as a group of men, how often are you going to compare yourself to your women? I mean, nobody's doing that. So I think when they operate like men should be operating, or at least to the extent of how other men operate towards their women, they'll get a different response. But that's something that they don't get. They really think it starts with the woman, and it doesn't. It starts with the man.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, my sister. Yeah, they turning up. They turning up. The people are turning up. We got 814 people watching so far. Once again, we got Cynthia G in the building, y'all. And everybody have their perspective. That's what y'all got to understand. Everybody, each and every one of us have our own perspective. So she have a right to feel that way. I agree with some of the stuff that she's saying. We are never going to always agree to everything. Just like she will not agree to everything that I say, but I agree with some of the stuff that my sister's saying. So let me ask you, sister, if I was to say to you that the black woman is being used as a tool for the government, for the system, what would be your response to that?
I would say point out a time in history when the government actually needed to use black women against black men. They basically have black men in a position that they want them in. It's not like black men are exactly resisting. So I'm failing to see how would they need black women? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how? You think the white government is at fear of black men doing anything at this point? They already own their athleticism. They own their talent. A lot of them are running, chasing after their women. They're extremely docile and passive. When you see videos of white women busting them in the head with bottles and they're talking about love in their heart, they don't need to use black women. Use them how? Like,
well, I'm not Cynthia, let me say this. I remember years ago. This was about like maybe 20 years ago when I was on child support and I had to go to the courts, to the child support system. I was going through that system and there was nobody in there but black women. But I mean, it might have a few white spots, but the majority of the people that was working in that government, in that system, in that building were black women, and they was automatically condemning the black man. You see?
So working there or going there?
No, they was working there. They was like, they had stripes and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like lieutenants and all that. So that's what I'm saying that, you know.
Right, which I agree that a lot of black women do exploit the system, but does the system really need black women in order to keep black men in this subjugated situation?
Yes, because when you understand history, Sister Cynthia, once they conquer the black woman, they conquer the child. And then the sisters begin to raise the men a little feminine, a little not to buck the system, not to go up against this system. Why? Because, see, I work for the system. Or sometimes she might be afraid of her son. She don't want her son to go out there and challenge that white man. Do not look that white man in his eyes. You know, that's why they say a woman can't raise a man. What is your perspective on all of that? So you can deal with that and then deal with a woman raising a man. Do you think a woman can raise a man, child?
I think that when we talk about women raising the children to be effeminized, that says two things to me right off the bat. It says, number one, the man's not there and he should be. And then the second one, it raises the question in my mind where I have to ask, is she raising them to be feminized and not go against the system because she really wants to help the system, or does she want to protect her child? That's the thing that they're not understanding. Black men are a target in this country. Okay, black men are not unified. So there's no consequence for a race soldier murdering a black man. So is she doing it? Is she raising him to be feminine, or is he getting feminine qualities because he doesn't have a man in the home? That's the question that we should be asking. And then if she is raising him to not contest anything, is she doing it because she wants to help the system or because she wants to protect her child? So those are things that I think people are not understanding, because if that woman is in the home raising an effeminized male, then that means that the black man is not in the home. And then I have to question, why isn't he there having some influence on how his child is being raised? Because if you look at a lot of active fathers today, they're not letting the woman raise the child however they want to. Some of them do, because you have an issue with the fathers being in a home by presence, but they're not really raising their kids. And that's an issue as well. But for the ones who are active, who are involved, who do have a vested interest in how their sons turn out, are they allowing the women to just raise their children to be feminine? No, he's not. And you can't raise a man to be feminine with another man in the home unless that man is feminine as well.
Sister, so I've seen a lot of my sisters say things like, if my son turns out to be gay, I still love him. I don't care. It's like they not raising him to be the man that he's supposed to be. Sisters will say they don't care about being feminine no more. It's like they don't give a damn if their son grow up to be feminine or masculine. They say, man, I don't care what he is. I still love him. See, that's the point that I'm saying.
So should she, what is her withdrawing her love going to do though? Like, because if I have a child, I would prefer, if I had a son,
No, you don't have to withdraw your love. You got to show your love. Sometimes your love can be painful too. You know, just because you put that leather to that backside, just because you discipline him the way you're supposed to, don't mean you don't love him. You giving him tough love. That's what I'm saying. You know, you got to give him that father love. If that father, and a lot of brothers that's out there, y'all take responsibility for that too. You at fault too for letting that woman just raise your child by herself, without you being present. So I'm not taking it away from the brothers. Go ahead, sister.
I don't think women should be physically disciplining male children. And to a great extent, I don't even think women should be verbally disciplining male children. And the reason why I don't think that they should, because that act in and of itself is effeminizing. And so the thing of it is I think that the discipline for male children should mostly be coming from males. But if they're absent in the home, what is she supposed to do? Like that's what I would like for people to tell me. Because ultimately she is a woman. Okay, she's a woman. So there's only so much masculinity a woman is going to be able to instill in a male. I'm feeling like it's a contradictory argument, because a lot of these men say that Black women are masculine, but then they're complaining that she's raising feminine men. So if she's masculine, shouldn't she be able to raise a masculine male? It's like, but the only way she's able to raise an effeminized male is if she's feminine. So again, I think it's on both of them. She can only do so much. Now, I do think that a lot of the way that these women are raising their children are horrible, both male and female. I think the way that they raise them is trash. But I don't think that it's fair to, if the male comes out effeminized, I don't think it's fair to just pin that on the Black woman, because at the end of the day, regardless of whether he's in a relationship with the mother, he can still have a relationship with his son. And a lot of men do. They'll do whatever it takes to be in their sons' lives and their children's lives because it's important to them. So I think that we shouldn't just put that 100% on the Black woman. It takes two people to create a child. So where is the other parent, and why isn't he around raising his son?
All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. Sister Cynthia G, what is your perspective on the Me Too movement? What is that about? What is the Me Too movement?
I think the Me Too movement is trash, and I'm waiting for Black men to start their Me Too movement against white women's sexual false rape claims. That's what I'm waiting for. I think it's trash. I think it's a bunch of haggard white women using the law to their advantage because they can, and that's because despite the hundreds of years of white women falsely accusing Black men of sexual assault, there has not been one movement from Black men to address these things. Not one of them. Even like, for example, in the Bill Cosby situation and case, how many times did white women's history of false sexual assault charges come up?
A few.
No.
You said, say that again?
I haven't seen it on any big national platform. We might have brought it up on YouTube, but I'm talking about in the mainstream media arena on all of those news cases when you've seen political analysts commenting on it. Aside from his former Black female attorney, how often did white women's false sexual assault charges history come up? It didn't come up in any meaningful way. Even when they did it to Russell Simmons, he simply ran to Indonesia. He didn't even mention, okay, this is the history. They have a history and a pattern of doing this. That hasn't been brought out. There hasn't been a movement brought out to do that. You have a number of different Black men who are still going to court being raped of resources over white women's false sexual assault allegations. But this never gets brought up. They never question any legislation being put into place. They don't do anything about it. And this is what I mean when I say the protection argument is disingenuous, because Black men should have been addressed this issue on a political level, on a legislative level. They should have been fighting to do something about these white women falsely accusing them of sexual assault. Now, I have a theory as to why they haven't, but I know people are not going to agree with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to make sure I heard this right. I don't want to get it twisted, so I'm gonna give you the opportunity to clear it up. Did I hear you say at one point in one time that you do not consider, or you don't see the Asian people is like not a race? Did I hear you say that before?
It's not a race.
Why do you feel that the Asian people is not a race? What is your perspective on that? What do you mean when you say that?
Because race is unilateral. So you can't have two races in one race.
Okay.
And you have Asians who look blacker than me, and then you have white Asians. So I need to know, if this is a race, why do you have two polar opposing groups of people within that race? Essentially, why do you have white Asians and why do you have Black Asians? Because the darker skinned Asians that look darker than me, they have something called eumelanin. That comes from Africans. The white Asians are pheomelanin producing. That is what white people have. White people, only white races have pheomelanin. Only African descent races have eumelanin. Furthermore, if you look up the ancient Chinese, if you look up the ancient Thai, basically in any race, you're going to see that they started off Black.
Right. I agree.
This is why I say Asian is not a race, because you have black Asians, you have white Asians still to this day. And the white ones see themselves as very different than the black ones. The Chinese and the Japanese do not see themselves the same as the Cambodians and the Hindu Indians. And they oppress them the same way white people oppress black people. They understand that they are. That's the thing. Even like, that's why when I say, when people say white men dating Asian women are the biggest interracial daters. No, they're not, because you don't see white men with dark-skinned Asians. You see them with the white Asians. So they even know they're operating on the basis of white versus black. That's just a reality. Actually, if you look up the race, if you look up the definition of race, from all definitions that I've got, it says you're either black or white. That's what it boils down to. But I believe you're black, white, or mixed. You're a mixture of black, white. I don't care if you're Polynesian. I don't care if you're Cambodian. Bottom line of it is because of white invasion that came in and whited out races, you don't have Asians being a race. They're just not a race.
Okay. All right, Cynthia. Sister, you said that at one point in time, and if I'm wrong, you can correct me. You said that the Hebrew Israelites are stupid because they are the seed of their father. Explain that. What do you mean by that? That you said that they are stupid because they are the seed of their father, but that's what they teach. They teach that they are the seed, that the black man has the seed, that the man is the seed of the child.
But how, when semen isn't a seed, it's a fertilizer? So I would like to know how it's a seed. Actually, the egg is the seed. So even if you break it down from a genetic level, it's impossible for you to be the seed of your father, because your father doesn't pass along as much DNA or genes as your mother does. The mother passes on everything. Furthermore, again, the purpose of the sperm is to fertilize the egg. A fertilizer is not a seed. You only fertilize seed. So therefore, you cannot be the seed of your father. It's not backed by any scientific data. Most states don't even recognize the child as being the race of the father. They recognize it as being the race of the mother. For example, Washington State. In Washington State, and people can watch Rachel Dolezal's documentary, and she put this in her documentary, and I know this for a fact because I lived in Washington State. In Washington State, the person has to identify racially as what the mother is. And so she said her child was with a black man. She tried putting it on baby's birth certificate that the race was black because the father was black. She said legally they told her that child has to be white because the mother's white. There are a number of different states who operate just like that. You cannot racially classify the child as anything but the mother. So if you go to biology and science, the whole concept of you being the seed of your father, that's you don't even see that anywhere except in religion. That is a religious concept. It's not a scientific or biologically based fact. You can go look at any creation video and they're going to tell you the sperm fertilizes the egg.
Right.
Seeds fertilize.
Because, Sister Cynthia, because inside of the sperm is light, intelligence, and energy. So if the man is giving life to the egg, shouldn't that be enough to determine that that is the seed, that the man is the dominant seed? Like when he plant that seed into the woman and gives life to that edge, it sparks off the life. It gives it energy. It gives it intelligence. It gives it consciousness. Correct?
He's not. No, because he's not planting a seed. What the sperm is actually doing is bringing the father's genetic code. That is what it's doing. The reality of it is there's life in the egg as well. Once the sperm gets in the egg, the egg doing everything else. That's the thing.
Because the consciousness hit it. See, once the consciousness hit it, it gives it the life. It gives it the energy to do what it got to do to grow. That's what I'm saying, sister.
That is more of a spiritual, religious based concept. If you go to biology, that's not the way it is. And I think people really should just revisit biology to understand what a sperm versus an egg is, because you're not sitting there with a dead egg. That's just the reality. The woman's egg is alive as well. The bottom line of it is it just needs that 50% contribution from that sperm. That is just the law of nature where you have two things that need to connect in order for something to happen. But the reality of it is that sperm just sitting in the man's body is doing absolutely nothing. It's contributing to absolutely nothing. The only time it served a purpose is when it connects with that egg. That's just the reality. So if anything, you wouldn't say you're the seed of your father. You would just say you're the seed of both your parents. But again, being the seed of your father is not backed by anything. Because again, that man doesn't even carry mitochondrial DNA. Most of the genes come from the mother. You can look at biology and you can see like the woman passes on about like, I think, 10,000 more genes than the man does.
But see, like, Sister Cynthia, when our women begin to think like that of the man, it lessens down the job and the duty of a man. You don't give that black man that respect and that honor and that dignity. You don't give him that strength. You know, it's like, see, when you look at the other nations, it's always white man, black woman. When you look at that Chinese man, it's Chinese man, Chinese woman. But when it comes to us as a race, as a people, it's like black woman, black man, black child. You see what I'm saying? So we got to begin to give them props back to the man. We got to give back to the man.
So what does it do but the reverse could be said about the woman too. We should not have to feed the man a biological lie for him to believe that he has merit. When we already know the men are still relevant. A woman can't get pregnant without a man impregnating her. So she would be sitting here childless unless that man chooses to impregnate her. But that doesn't mean that it warrants or justifies him saying, oh, you're the seed of your father. Because they're basically telling you that despite the fact that this child is actually in the mother's womb, growing off of her, sucking off of her resources, the very life of that child depends not on what the male does, but on what the woman does. You want us to ignore all that just to boost black men's ego? Like, surely there's something else that you guys can have your ego boosted based on so that we don't have to feed you a biological lie. I mean, some women will. Some women will do it. I'm just not one of them.
When you hear the term, the black woman is God, what does that do for you? Are you in agreement with that?
If you look at the definition of a God, doesn't it basically just mean life giver? You're a creator. Isn't that what it means? So it doesn't do anything for me, to be honest. It does absolutely nothing. I think it's cute. I think it's okay. But personally, it does absolutely nothing for me.
Okay. What race do you consider to be legit?
The black one.
Okay, the black race.
That's it, really. Again, if we go by biology and science, there's only benefits to being black. There are no biological benefits to being anything other than black. There's only disadvantages. And the further you get away from your blackness as an entity, the more genetic complications you have. And again, this is backed by white people science. I actually did a video doing an experiment since white people like to claim they're superior. I got on white-owned Google and I typed in biological benefits to being white. I couldn't find one of them. I could only find list of disadvantages. And so the reality of it is the proof is in the pudding. And I've spoken to white people now who troll my channel and who troll my Twitter. And I had a back and forth with this white woman because she was calling me racist. And I asked her, okay, so what's one benefit to being white? Because you live as a white woman, what's one biological benefit? And she said she didn't know. She doesn't know. She said she doesn't know because she didn't research it. And it's like, okay, well, if you ask me what's a biological natural benefit to being black, I don't need to research it. I can give you at least 5 of them off the top of my head. But they can't even tell you any biological benefit to being who they are because there are none. There's only disadvantages.
Okay. When you heard about Sandra Bland, what happened? What went through your mind? How did you feel when you heard about the sister Sandra Bland?
I felt like it was yet another case where a race soldier was able to get off with murdering a black woman, and you had too many black men justifying it.
Really?
Yeah.
Black men justifying it?
They did the same thing with Corinne Gaines. They talked about, oh, if she wasn't running her mouth, then she wouldn't have been murdered. Oh, that's the black woman with the reckless mouth, and that's why she ended up being murdered. It's just like, really? I thought it was disgusting. I think all these cases are disgusting. That's why I don't even cover cases, whether it's a black man or a black woman who's getting murdered by police. I don't even talk about them anymore because I'm tired of seeing that happen. I'm tired of seeing the response to it. I'm tired of seeing the constant marching and prayer and excuses as to why nothing can be done about it. I'm tired of seeing it. My psyche is not about to focus on that anymore.
Okay. What conscious books have you studied or read? Let's get some likes up in the building, y'all. What conscious books have you studied or read that you could turn the people onto?
I've read Frances Cress Welsing's ISIS paper. I've read The Destruction of Black Civilization. I've read a number of different slave narratives. I've read The Iceman Inheritance. I'm reading a book now on
That's why you shop today, Cynthia. That's why you shop. You know,
well,
go ahead.
The thing of it is when I first started doing being on YouTube, I didn't know who any of these conscious people were. I had no idea because I hadn't read any of them. Like I just recently read Frances Cress Welsing's book because people kept comparing me to her, and I didn't know who she was until I watched Hidden Colors. That's the first time I ever saw her on there. So a lot of these scholars I read specifically because people kept asking me about them. But when I first started doing YouTube, I didn't have any familiarity with any of them because my intent wasn't to get on YouTube and talk about white supremacy. But I've read quite a lot of books. I actually like reading. I prefer reading to watching television. So.
Okay. Do you have a religion that you go by? Like, what is your faith? What do you follow? What is your religious belief?
I don't have one. I used to be a Christian, actually. I used to be a Christian.
So you no longer believe in God, or you still believe in God?
It's difficult for me to believe in God while white people are still existing. Because then it raises the question is, if there is a God, why is this God with this concentrated evil that's running amok? So it's very difficult for me to really believe in it. But then at the end of the day, I feel that there is some form of creator. Like even if you think about the intricacies of how, like just conception in general, like you have some fluid and an egg creating a human. I don't understand that. So to me, for it to be so intricate and so detailed and so complex, something had to create that. And I don't believe that it was a big bang, but it's very difficult to me to really quantify what God is. It's very difficult for me to do that. Especially coming out of Christianity. It's very hard for me to do that.
Okay. So, in perspective to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, do you believe in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he talked about the white man being the devil, a race of devils? Do you subscribe to that teaching?
I believe 100% in the story of Yaqub and Elijah. I do. Because it represents reality to me.
Oh man, okay, Sister Cynthia.
And there is science that backs it up too. So
now I heard, I don't know if it's true. I'll give you opportunity to clear it up, and I'm probably sure you probably heard it too. But there were rumors going around saying that you have dated white men at one point in time in your life. I don't know if that's true or not. If you did, I mean, that's at least you conscious now, and that's over with. What is your response to that?
If I had dated white men.
First of all, have you ever heard that before?
Yeah.
So you know I'm not lying. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a rumor started by somebody extremely dusty. And, it's interesting to me when we're in the era of Black YouTubers being exposed. I'm sure you know that there are several Black people who have been exposed for their relationships.
Right.
Despite all of these rumors, even when I offered to pay somebody $5,000 to present any evidence to substantiate me dating a white man, they could not do it. And so, no, I've never dated a white man. If I did, I would have already said I did, because I've said I've taken money from white men, and if it's offered, I'm going to continue to do it. I absolutely have.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't have to date them to do that, though.
Right. Okay. Do you think white women fight for black men? Do they sacrifice for black men? Do they go on a limb and fight? Because I've seen a lot of women, white women, they'll come out there and they'll fight for the black man too now.
How?
I'm asking you.
Give me an example of white women fighting for black men. Because
I'm asking you. Do you see it? Okay.
No. Trending and going out and joining protests, that's not fighting.
Do you think the white woman wants the black man? I would say that. Let me ask you that one.
I think she wants to have sexual access to the black man. Okay. But other than that, no, she doesn't. There's no viable reason why she would, other than sex. And that's why mostly when you hear white women talking about their interest in black men, it's sexual. They could choose to stop raising their children to be white supremacists.
How does that make you feel when you hear white women talking about your man like that?
I don't really, to be honest, I don't really care. It makes me think more poorly of the black man than the white woman, because quite frankly, if I was a white woman.
Hold on. Cut that for a minute. What you just said, it makes you think more poorly of the black man because the white woman is thinking about the black man sexually. So it makes you think negative about the black man?
Right. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I can't fault white women for desiring black men sexually. If I was a white woman and I had the opportunity to choose sex between a white man and a black man, I would choose it between black men too. And I don't fault them for that. Why wouldn't they? All races of women desire black men sexually, and that's very understandable. What other man would measure up to black men sexually?
What is your ideal man, Sister Cynthia G? What is your ideal man?
It's a really masculine, dominant, aggressive man, but one that's very versatile, where he can kind of be hood or he can be intelligent. He knows how to adapt to certain environments. One that has integrity, where his masculinity isn't easily compromised, where he doesn't feel like everything is a threat to his masculinity. He can see a woman with shine and it doesn't threaten him at all. He doesn't need her to be docile. He doesn't need her to be silent, but at the end of the day, he doesn't allow her to disrespect him. He has no problem standing up to her. He has integrity. He has morals. He's a warrior-minded man. He doesn't compare himself to women, and he doesn't feel the need to compare himself to other men because he understands that he's better than the other races of men. That's just a reality. I don't think there's anything racist in recognizing, the biological benefits that you have over other people. I think the problem is that Black people are too afraid to understand and accept those differences. But in terms of a man, I think that for me, what embodies a man is his character. It's not so much of what he does and the mistakes that he makes. It's about how does he engage and resolve those mistakes when he makes it. Even a man who's cheating, that's not going to be a man that's a bad man to me. It's about how is he going about it? How is he rectifying it after he engages? Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody falls short. But it's like, how is he dealing with it after? How is he dealing with the consequences of his action? Does he take accountability or does he make excuses? Is he reliable? Does he keep his word, or does he have no problem saying he's going to do something and not do it? So, is he consistent or is he flaky? Those are the things to me. It's not necessarily about money or cars or any of the material things, because I've never needed to rely on a man for any of those things. It's good to be in partnerships and to build with someone, but I don't need him to ride in and save me financially, because I'm going to be building my own and I would prefer to build with him. But what I'm mostly concerned about is his character and his integrity, and he can't be weak.
All right. Once again, we are talking to Cynthia G. Her YouTube channel is Cynthia G, correct?
Yes.
All right. You see her
I have
name.
3 YouTube channels.
She do have 3 YouTube channels, but you go on there, just type in Cynthia G. You'll find her. You'll find all her information. And the same thing with the black man. Do you think the black man shows more concern and respect towards the white woman than he do his own woman?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I sure do. I sure do. And you look on any media platform and they'll show it. You go on social media, for example, I was in a thing with O'Shea. I was on one of O'Shea's panels. I jumped on there really quickly because they kept talking about who's raising the Pookie and Ray Rays and all these other things. So I jumped on there and I said, I find it quite interesting that, you know, black men are always asking about who's raising Pookie and Ray Ray, which they have every right to do. But I'm like, when it comes to racism, they never question who's raising these white supremacist males or these race soldiers. They're not asking who's raising them. I promise you, the amount of black men who jumped in that comment section to defend white women and to absolve her of any responsibility for racism was astounding to me. I've seen black men attack black women over white women. I've been attacked by black men in defense of white women. So I've seen it in my family. I've seen it on social media. I see how they will go against everyone in favor of that white woman. It's demonic, really. But of course he does. I think black men value white women more than more than even white men, really.
Y'all brothers, come on, man. Have you ever been hurt, Sister Cynthia? Have you ever been hurt in your life by a black man? And you think maybe that's some of the stuff that's coming out, you know, when you're talking like this about the black man?
No, because the stuff that I'm saying doesn't really relate to personal relationships. Like, they relate to societal issues. So I'm not sure how people are relating my opinions on how black men navigate through a system of white supremacy to my personal relationship. I don't see how that will relate. But of course, I've only dealt with black men. So of course, I would have to have been hurt by a black man. All of my experiences have been with black men. So any of my negative experiences in a relationship would have to be tied to black men.
Mm-hmm. What do you say if I was to tell you, I'm gonna ask you the question. Are the majority of black women ratchet that you know? Are the majority of black women, would you say they are ratchet?
I think the majority of black women, period, have some degree of a hood rat mentality. And I've said this several times on my channel. They have some degree of a hood rat mentality, the majority of them.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you this question.
In my personal circle, no, I don't. That's why when I first got on social media, I was very surprised by what black men were saying about black women, because I haven't hung out with the type of black women that they were describing. The loud ones, you know, the overly aggressive ones. I don't hang around those type of black women. And in my circles and even professionally, there was probably only one time when I encountered a black woman that was actually that embodied the stereotype of what they were talking about. But I do believe now that I've been exposed to certain things, absolutely, majority of them have some varying degree of a hood rat mentality.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this next question, and I want you to know by no means do I disrespect. Do I disrespect you or nothing? You are definitely a beautiful sister, and I definitely respect you. But I'm asking you this question because I see a lot of people always bring this up, especially in your chat room if you going live. So here's the question, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to answer it. Is wearing a weave a state of self-hatred? Because some people might say, well, you know, she hates herself. Every time I see this sister, she always got to have her straight hair in and her weave in and stuff like that. Do you think that by wearing a weave, is that a state of self-hatred? Like, why nobody never see you with an Afro wig on or something like that? Like, like the natural.
I think it's a statement of self-hatred if the person already is suffering from self-hatred. And then I think the weave would just be a manifestation of that, so to speak, if that makes sense to you. But I don't think that if you have a person who doesn't subscribe to the self-hating mentality, which that would show in their actions, I don't think hair would be of that at all. And I wasn't raised to associate certain hair types with whiteness. So it actually confuses me why Black people, beyond white supremacist conditioning, why they would relegate natural hair of a Black woman to an afro when you have a whole continent of Africans whose hair textures vary like significantly. Like I've been around African women whose hair is naturally like this. So I'm not under so to me, have
you ever represented your natural? Like, have you ever came out with your natural? Is there any videos with your natural out there somewhere?
Actually, some of the pictures that people were circulating from my Facebook, I was wearing my natural hair. The thing of it is, a lot of Black people don't know how to recognize natural hair, actually, because I dated this guy. I'll tell you 2 quick stories. One of the stories, I was in college, okay? And this was during the time I had a perm, but it was in my actual hair. And I think this was when I was like 19 or early 20s. That was the last time like I've ever had a perm in my hair. But I had my hair out in my natural hair. I had a perm. Because my hair went past my shoulders, Black men would have debates with me in class about whether or not it was my natural hair. In fact, I actually ended up having to, and I wouldn't do this now because I'm not going to prove anything to anybody. I could come on here. I actually had my hair in an afro right before I got on here. I could have came on here with an afro, but I'm not going to do that. The thing of it is
why not?
Because people don't deserve to see my hair. People aren't going to shame me into conforming to what they think I should conform to. I'm just not going to. Quite frankly, I couldn't care less what they think. If they want to sit here and think this is about a hair hate or self-hating issue, then knock yourself out. But so I was in school, and I actually at the time had to let these Black men feel my scalp and feel that there wasn't tracks in my hair in order for them to believe that it was real. After that, when I was like in my mid 20s, I was dating this Black man, and he would complain about hair. He would complain about weave or whatever. And he was of the belief system that if you're wearing weave, then you must be bald-headed. In fact, he would always say this. He would be like, oh, well, you must not have hair or whatever. So this was when I was wearing sew-ins. This is actually a wig right now. This is actually a wig. I don't have any weave. But during this time, I actually had a sew-in. So I took my hair out so that I could get it done. And I was like, okay, well, whatever. I'll show him my hair. We actually lived together at this time. So I took my hair out. I washed it, blow dried it into an afro. This dude comes in and says, what part of that is your hair and what part of that is weave? Now, my hair was actually in an afro at this time. So I think it's quite interesting how you have a lot of Black men who act like they care so much about natural hair, but then sometimes they can't even recognize when a woman has natural hair because they have a mindset that if it deviates from a 2-inch afro, this very coarse, then it's not real hair because they've been conditioned to view what it means to be Black in physicality and mentality from white people. They've been thoroughly conditioned. So when I hear people associating weave and certain hair types with white people, I'm just like, okay, that's a conditioned slave-minded person. That's all I think, really.
All right. I want to take it back for a minute when I said something about a woman being able to raise a strong Black man. It reminds me of the Aretha Franklin funeral, where you had preachers at the Aretha Franklin funeral say, a woman can't raise a Black boy. This is their words. A woman can't raise a Black boy. Is that true? If so, is that the reason why the Black race is not where it should be in society?
Well, the thing of it is there have been strong Black men who came from single parents and who were raised by their mothers. So I don't think that we can say that is not possible. But I think reality is representing the fact that it is important for a man and a woman to be involved in the child's life. So even if we say we couldn't even say the women, even if we acknowledge that that women are raising these men, we couldn't say that the women are the reason the community is like this, because again, the man should be there raising his children. So to me, in my opinion, that would just go back to the man. Then I would have to say Black men's mentality, not all of them, but a lot of them apparently, their mentality that they don't have to take care of their children, their devaluation of the importance of Black fathers is the reason. I would have to say that, because again, who's stopping them from being there, raising their children? Again, I'm not saying be with that woman. If you don't like that woman, don't be with her. Nobody is saying that you should be in a toxic relationship. Why aren't you being with your child though?
Mm-hmm. Okay. We're gonna move forward on that one. So let me ask you, Sister Cynthia, who do you feel, and please don't fail this question. Please, sister, don't fail this question. I'm rolling with you right now, but don't fail this one. Who is better as a leader of the household, the man or the woman? Who do you feel should take that lead? Okay. Oh, man, I'm like, I hope she don't fail this. Okay. Especially if, now I'm not saying if he's not in his right state of mind, then of course the Black woman got to step up and do that. Are Black men cowards to the white man today? Do you see the Black man as a coward?
Do you roll me down?
I want you to go in. I want to see how my sisters feel about us, and that way we need to step it up. We need to turn it up a little something. We want to see how our women feel about us.
I have no choice but to believe that. I have no choice, like really, because there's too many things that Black men are allowing them to do, and they refuse to. Black men do not have to allow them to own their athleticism. They don't have to allow them to manage their talent. They don't have to allow them to do any of these things. Black men don't even have to allow white men to dominate them. He can't be dominated unless he submits to this white man. So on an individual level, do I think they're cowardly? Not all of them. A lot of them, yeah, because a lot of them won't even stand up to individual white men. On a systemic level, absolutely. I would have to be delusional to say anything else. Now, I don't want that to be the case. I really don't. I hate 5% of myself for even having to say that, but absolutely they are. I think they're terrified of white men. I really do.
Wow. Okay. Y'all hearing it live from Cynthia G in the building. Okay. I
actually think, to be honest, white men fear Black women more than they fear white men or Black men. I think they fear Black women more so.
What makes you feel that way?
Because Black women are more willing to physically fight than Black men are.
Where you get this crazy stuff from?
All of these videos where I see Black men bowing and being passive towards white women and white men. I just told you. Even in Spain, this is globally. Even in Spain, you had a white woman sit up here and approach a Black man and say, I can kill you and do whatever I want to, and nothing's going to happen. Now,
Cynthia, you know that is not true. You know the Black man is public enemy number one. Once you conquer the Black man, the Black woman becomes our concubine.
Hey, but why do you allow yourself to be conquered, though? That's what I'm saying. Why allow yourself to be conquered?
It's not allowing yourself. Black men is fighting all across this world. It ain't like we're not fighting. We fought in slavery. It wasn't like we just laid down and let the white man come over there and hit us in the head. No, it wasn't really like that you see on the movie.
I'm reading, Black women were fighting even on the plantation more than Black men were. And I'm not saying none of them were fighting. I'm saying based on the slave narrative that I'm reading, Black women were fighting way more.
Okay. All right. Come on, brothers. That's not let's not get disrespectful. This our sister. This is our sister. Let's not call different names. Let's cut it out. You wouldn't like nobody to call your mother that. So let's be real.
They can call names, or they can present some examples to refute what I'm saying.
Nah, we don't want to call no names. So you wouldn't want your mother to be called these names. So think about it. You got nieces, you got sisters. So just be respectful. Everybody ain't gonna agree with what you agree with. Everybody have their perspective, man. And this is what you see. I'm not on here to debate Cynthia G. I'm on here to give her an interview. And I ask the question, she puts it out there, just like I'm doing with everybody else. I'm giving her the floor so she can, I open up the phone lines and where y'all could come in and do all of that later on. Let's just be respectful. That's all. That's all I'm saying, family.
Here's my thing. I welcome people on my platform to challenge me. Really. I actually do. Specifically Black men. I always welcome them and challenge them. That's why Angry Man has been on my channel. Cerulean have been on my channel. A number of different other men have been on my channel, because when I say what I say, I want
angry men. Angry men been on your channel?
It's several times. And they don't always agree with me, but they have the intellectual capacity to actually challenge what I'm saying and lay out their argument. And then I'm like, okay, well, I see what you're coming from. I definitely do. However, there's a difference between men who actually possess the intellectual capability to challenge what I'm saying versus a troll who's going to get into the chat room and throw around petty insults like we're in high school. But I don't care nothing about none of that. You either possess the intellectual ability to dispute what I'm saying, or you don't. So if you feel like there's some flaw in what I'm saying, then post some timelines, post some data, post something to contradict what I'm saying, because everything that I say, unlike a lot of these people, I bring receipts. That's why when I said what I said in the beginning, I cited 3 different case laws. Anybody can look them up. Google is your friend. You think I'm lying about these interracial cases? Type into Google Paste v. Alabama and see what you're going to come up with. And you'll see the exact date that I just quoted. So I'm not pulling this out of the air. I don't care if they like history or not. History is history. You have a problem with it, change the behavior. You don't want me to see you as a coward, then stand up to white male dominance and stop submitting to it. Otherwise, you can throw your insults as much as you want to. It's not going to change my narrative. So keep on just showing how dusty and beta you are.
All right. I remember listening to one of your videos one time. I forgot which one it was, but I remember you saying something like, in one of your videos, you said Black wealth is non-existent.
Right. It's virtually non-existent, right?
Yes. Talk about that.
There was a report that
non-existent.
Right. There was a report that came out where it presented data.
Now, I know y'all don't disagree with her on this one now. Come on now. Go ahead, sister.
There was 2 reports that confirmed that. One of them, and both of them came out this year. One of them was talking about how nothing has changed for the Black community since in the past 50 years. And one of the issues that it raised in there was the wealth gap. It talked about the wealth gap between the white community and the Black community. And the economists in that article concluded that the wealth gap was widening. There was also an article, and I did an entire video on it. It's on my channel. Anybody can go look for it and see it. It's actually titled Black Wealth is Virtually Non-Existent. And in that, I provide the data that they said, even including your celebrities and your wealthy Black people, if you look at what they're putting their money into, which is stuff that depreciates in value rather than appreciates in value, if you think about how wealth is accumulated and what wealth actually is, it concluded that Black wealth was non-existent based on how Black people or lack of Black people investing their money. Like, for example, did you notice how, I don't know if anybody remembers the YouTube shooting, when you had a person shoot up YouTube. They took those people to Zuckerberg Hospital. So you have Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, who was smart enough to open up a hospital, okay? That's one of the ways you can accumulate wealth. Where is Black People's Hospital?
Have no idea.
Where's Black people's school? Where is their bank? Because these are actually mechanisms that you need in your community to accumulate wealth, okay? So I can bring up the article and you guys can look it up. Actually, if anybody gets on Google and just type in Black wealth is virtually non-existent, the article and the study with the data, it'll come up. But or they can go look at my video on my channel where it's titled Black wealth is virtually non-existent, and they'll see where I've got that from.
All right. Once again, family, let me let y'all know that the questions that is being asked is coming from, all questions are coming from We the Gods. So if y'all know We the God, make sure y'all subscribe to my brother We the Gods. You know it. That's my engineer. And all questions are coming from that brother platform, We the Gods. Okay, Cynthia. So let me ask you, what do you say that Black men are responsible for? What are we responsible for, sister?
Okay. I'm trying to cushion this.
Why would I ask a question about the Black man? You giggle and you laugh. It's like, come on, do you give us any love? You got to give us some type of love, sister.
I do. The thing of it is I love Black men. It might sound like I don't because I'm telling the truth, but I really do. I love Black men. I know that I cannot exist without a Black man. I would never choose to mate or procreate with anybody other than a Black man. So I love Black men. However, I cannot ignore the truth. Okay. And if you go back in history, there is a direct causal link between Black men and what we're going through right now. There just is. And if you want to know what that causal link is, go read The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. You can just go read it. There has been, for centuries, Black men selling out their people. That is just a reality. I'm not saying 100% of all Black men have been doing that. Clearly, they haven't. But if you study history, accurate history, there's no possible way you can exempt Black men from having some responsibility for where we are. Now, that doesn't mean that Black women are not right now engaging in actions that go against the betterment of the community. They are. This is why I say there are domino effects to things. There are cause and effect relationships. And again, they don't have to like the cause and effect relationship, but it is what it is. So I think Black men's actions is what led us here, according to history. Now we can just throw out if we throw out history, then we can be fake and we can lie, and then we can appease all the dusty beta males with fragile egos who don't want to understand accurate history. Or we can realize and understand that even today, Black men are still engaging in the same behaviors that led to the destruction of their people. They just are. I don't want it to be that way, but it is. So,
all right. Let me give my brother We the God. He got to get a wrench in here, so he ain't got to worry about his stuff not being shown. We the God, you are a moderator, brother. I want you to know that. Whatever, if you put links in there, you got it. You all right? Yes. So same question for the women, for the Black woman. What are Black women responsible for?
Black women right now are responsible for the fact that we have an attitude to where it is very dismissive of Black men's leadership. Again, I think that a lot of Black women are more and more starting to push for actions that are going to contribute to the genocide of Black people. When they sit up here and advocate for abortion of Black male babies, then you're advocating for Black genocide. I think that the mentality that we have now in this day that has increased over time. There was a small amount of Black women who had certain beliefs, and now there are more Black women, and there will continue to be more Black women who subscribe to these dangerous beliefs and actions. The more Black men engage in their behaviors, Black women are going to continue to spiral out of control, and it's going to get real, real bad.
Do you think, Sister Cynthia, that the Black man is in this position that he's in today? Is it possible because after a hard day's work, After a hard day's work in society, dealing with multiple personalities day by day, and then finding yourself to come home to a quiet, loving house, peaceful, loving house, and then we got to go through some of the same things with the women instead of our sister giving us that push, keeping us up. You continue to tear us down all the way. That's what some of the black men might be saying that's coming out of your mouth right now. Like, she's just tearing us down. I don't hear no upliftment coming from my sister. So is it a possibility that maybe it could be the sisters too that is keeping us in this goddamn position?
I never said that it wasn't black women contributing, but black women cannot keep black men in this position. Because at the end of the day, black men are not subjugated to
you
black
are more
women.
powerful than you're giving yourself credit for.
Okay,
Believe me,
so
our black women have so much power, sister. You don't know. Y'all can make us feel like pieces of shit if you want to. That black woman, the way she talk, the way that tongue come at the black man, y'all can really make us feel really bad. So don't take that power away from you now.
And I won't deny that. But so are you telling me that because of the way that black women talk to black men, that's what's causing black men to allow themselves to be dominated?
No, that's not what I said. I said after a hard day's work. That's what I said. After dealing with multiple personalities on the job, kissing ass on the job. Sometimes, you got to kiss ass to the white man sometime on the job. If you want to continue to pay your bills and feed your family, they're kissing ass and they're constantly going through that shit. And then when you come home, you want to be able to have a good, loving house, eat your dinner, relax, and just chill. But sometimes you got to come in and test the weather to see if everything good with the lady. So that's what I'm talking about.
But that's assuming that black women aren't going through the same thing, because in the corporate arena, black women have to deal with white women, and white women are worse than white men. And I know because I've worked in corporate arenas. It is easier to work with
my
a white
wife
man.
coming in here talking about that is not true. I'm telling her to chill. I'm just asking the question. It may not be true in my family, but I'm saying it's out there. I'm not going to deny that it ain't going on. So
if black men weren't dominated, though, they wouldn't have to go to these jobs and have difficult experiences, though. So that's the thing. That's why when I say, what does black women's attitude at home have to do with black men allowing himself to be dominated? Because here's the thing. You have black men who are in powerful positions, who possess the money necessary to create jobs and create industries that black men own and run, so that black men are not having to go into these industries that are run by white men and therefore be subjected to the stupidity that they subject them to. Why are they not creating those industries so that they don't have to deal with these things? Like, why are they not making moves to not be dominated by white men so that they don't have to go to jobs and suck up to white men? Because while you guys are talking about what you have to do at a job to deal with white men, that your same black woman that's probably at home, she probably has to deal with a corporate job and deal with a white woman. She probably has to spend 80% of her day catering to the insecurity of a white woman. And I know because I've been there. I've been on jobs where I was very frustrated. My blood pressure is rising because I'm in a corporate arena that is managed by white women, and half my job is spent catering to her insecurities. I can't just go there and do my work and excel. I have to deal with her jealousy. I have to deal with the fact that she doesn't want to be around a black woman. So I understand that black men, they're in these corporate workspaces and they're dealing with stress. But I think that we also need to understand that if you're going home to a black woman, it's probably because she's dealing with that level of stress too. Add to that, she still has to maintain the home. She still has to cook. She still has to tend to children, and she still has to clean. So she's not just giving this black man hell because she wants to give him hell. She's dealing with stress too, just like he is. I mean, so I don't think that they're purposeful. Do I think that black women's attitude is the cause of black men not resisting domination? No, I don't. I think that that's an excuse, really.
All right, my sisters, for the brothers that's out there that's interested and that's interested, for the brothers, my sister, are you single today? Are you in a relationship? Do you have a king on your side?
Okay, so the one question that's always off limits is questions about my personal life.
All right, I respect that. I'll move right along. Let me move right along, my sister.
I appreciate it.
Okay, no problem. I'm gonna move right along. What do you think about Rihanna declining the Super Bowl?
I made a video on this, and
talk about it.
I think her declining the Super Bowl is making a statement. And I wish the only thing that would be better is the black male athletes declining to play.
Yes, I
think the only thing better than Rihanna declining performing at the Super Bowl would be black male athletes declining to even play in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not understanding why, if she can turn down money or she can brush her hand aside at money to play there, why can't they do the same thing and just not play? Do you know how much waves that would make if those black male athletes said, yeah, we're not going to play in the Super Bowl until some societal things change? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, but that's not realistic, because the reason is because those are millions of dollars that they've given up, and they got homes that they got to pay for. See, we beat up on the athlete, but we're not looking at it from their perspective, where they got these $1 million homes and they got to constantly pay these bills. I mean, who else would do something like that?
If they still had the Negro Leagues, how likely is it that they would even have to weigh those two things?
Right.
That's why I say this is a consequence of black men not owning their own athleticism. Right. You should not have white males owning black male athleticism. Like that shouldn't be taking place. Like they could even leverage and say, we're not going to play on football leagues where white men are all the owners.
And one more thing, don't forget the lawsuits that they go by. People sue them all the time. So they got to be able to pay these bills. We want to beat up on the slave. We don't want to beat up on the slave master. You see what I'm saying? We got to beat up on the slave master, not always the slave. You know,
see, these are excuses to me, because the thing of it is again, black men don't have to allow white men to own their athleticism they're choosing to. So to me, it falls on deaf ears when here's the thing. If we're going to say that they have to allow white men to dominate them because of money reasons, okay, well then don't complain about the consequences of you being dominated. That's just the reality of it, because they can own their own athleticism. Nobody's going to be sitting there trying to sue the black athletes if they're willing to crumble the entire NFL.
Now, wait a minute. We don't really know what the contract stimulates. So if they signed the contract, I think if that is not in their clause and not in their contract, I think one of them, at least somebody would have came up and started their own business. But they do have their own clothing line. You see, a lot of the basketball players have clothing lines, but they probably can't sign jersey and put their name on it because that is not owned to them. That is owned by the league. That is owned by the NBA. That is owned by the NFL. So we're not saying that the player cannot own and represent his own clothing line. You just won't be able to put your brand on it from the league. That's what we're saying.
I'm not even talking about a clothing line. I'm saying, why can't black men own their own athletic league? Why can't they do that? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why can't they do that? Why can't they refuse to play and say, we will play, but we're going to do it under our ownership? Why can't they do that?
Right. How do you feel about Colin Kaepernick?
I mean, there's no way for me to feel about him. I mean, I think that, it's interesting and is noteworthy to point out the fact that there was a whole black man who did what Colin Kaepernick did, from what I've learned before he did it. And yet he's been propped up as this pioneer. I think that's worth noting. But I also think it also points out the level of disunity that is inherent in the black male athletes, because I think if they would have showed more solidarity with what Colin Kaepernick was doing, I think that would make waves too. I also think it's intellectually dishonest for us to ignore the fact that a lot of black men don't have a problem with white men owning their athleticism and their talent. A lot of black men don't think that they're effective enough to own their own talent. They believe that they should be managed by white men. I think it would be very dishonest to not admit that they believe that they should be owned by a white male.
Okay. We already know Kanye West was in the news last month sometime. What is your take on Kanye West. We know now, I think some people said that he flipped back over, he flopped over against Trump. But what is your perspective on Kanye West going to the White House, meeting up with Donald Trump? How do you feel about Kanye West?
He's an example of what I was talking about, black men submitting to white male dominance. That's an example of how throughout history you have had black men working to help maintain white supremacy. Let's just be real, Kanye West is not the only one. So I don't even know why they're focusing only on Kanye West, probably because he's a bigger celebrity, he's an attention whore, but he is not the only black man who have been siding with and parroting Donald Trump's sentiments. He's just not. And so I think we shouldn't even focus so much on Kanye West. But I do think that it's also interesting to point out that usually when you see the Kanye West and stuff in their behavior, it's no coincidence that they're tied to white women either. Because he wasn't doing all that when he was with black women.
Okay. Last question, and then we're going to open up the phone lines for the people so they can talk to you. Okay. Give me five, just five. Give me 5 black men that you could honestly say, I love and respect. And we got to know them. The people got to know them. It can't be somebody in your personal family. Give us 5 black men that you could come out and say, you know what? I respect this person. I got some love for this person. I see him as a strong black man. Give us just 5.
Malcolm X.
All right. Now, no. I want living. I want the living. That's living today.
You need to get back to me on that then.
See, because we can always say Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad. No, I want living black men today. Give us 5, sister.
Back to me. I can't think of any off the top of my head, to be honest.
Hold
so you
up, sister Cynthia. You can't think of 5. I can think of 5 black women.
No.
And more than that.
I can't even think of 5 black women. I can't think of 5 black women or black men that I just think is just super admirable. No, I can't. And I'm sorry if people are offended by that. But
all right, I throw out one for you. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. What is your take? Why not? Why not?
He's not doing anything except talking. So.
But isn't that's what all of us are doing? Isn't that's what Malcolm did and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did? In order to wake up on people, you got to do what? You got to first talk to them. You got to first see where they at in their consciousness. But I mean, I don't see black people doing anything else other than just talking. That's what we all doing. Trying to raise the level of consciousness of our people. So why not Farrakhan?
5. That's probably why I can't think of 5 right there. Because
Barack Obama.
Really?
I'm just throwing it out there to see what you take.
Barack Obama is a white woman, so.
Oh, come on.
He was raised by a white woman, so mentally he is a white woman. That's just the reality. Like, no, I don't like Obama. I don't think he did anything beneficial. I think he was a puppet, and I think that in mentality, he's a white woman, and he doesn't have a choice but to be, because that's who molded his mind. A white woman molded Obama's mindset. So I can't look at him as anything other than a white woman in blackface, to be honest.
All right, sister. I appreciate you. Once again, I want to let you know I got love for you, my sister Cynthia G. I think this was a good interview. You definitely did good, and I respect your opinion. And now I want to open up the phone lines for my people, and I want to let you know, just calm down, slow down. I know y'all want to call in and go crazy, but just give my guests, give my sister some respect. Please give us some respect. And when you ask the question, it's not going to be a going back and forth. I need you to ask the question. Hang up, and then listen to her speak on your monitor, because you ain't going to be able to hear it on the phone. She'll hear your question, but you got to hang up and just listen to her response. So without any further ado.
But if they're emotional, I'm not going to respond. Just so you know, I'm not going to respond to people, to overly emotional men. So
okay, there you go. I'll just hang it up. I'm gonna give you that respect. So, family, the lines is open. You can call in, speak to our sister, and let's like the video. Let's thumb this video up. Let's thumb the video up, family. Let's get some likes in here. She took time out to come in here to be with us today. I'm waiting on your call, y'all. I'm waiting on your calls.
This should be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry that I know it. I know my stuff is going to offend people, but I can't come be this.
Well, sometimes the truth is a big pill to swallow. You know, the truth is a big pill to swallow. You ain't going to get everybody, but you're going to have somebody that listens to you, that agrees with you, and you're going to have some people that disagree with you.
You know, Sonetta, what I would like to know.
Hold on for real quick, because I got a caller in, and he is the spokesman for the House of Consciousness, Sonetta TV. Brother Sankofa, what's going on, my brother? I'm in here with Cynthia G. What is your question for Cynthia G, brother?
Peace, love, and light to the family.
Peace.
Shout out to the beautiful queen, Cynthia G. I always been checking out her show for some time over the years. I'm glad to see a sister as militant and outspoken and charismatic as her. And she's definitely needed and appreciated. Whether or not I agree with everything she says or stands for, she's definitely a staple in the community, in my opinion, for a lot of different reasons. So, getting right to the point, right? I want to ask a quick question to the sister Cynthia G. Can you hear me?
Yes, she can hear you.
My question, sister, is with all that it's a two-part question too. But first is given with what you said about the status of Black men, right? On many different levels that you mentioned it on, and you did go in. Do you feel as though white men are superior to Black men, or Black men are superior to white men?
Good question.
And then two, you said you can't name any great women or sisters or men. You said women. Will you not put yourself on that list of great women who are a voice to the people? That's the two-part question that I'm asking today.
All right, you want to stay on, Sankofa, and listen to the monitor, because you ain't gonna hear her on the phone. You'll have to listen to your screen.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, go ahead, Cynthia G.
I don't think white men are even superior to bacteria. Okay, so therefore, that's my question. No, they're the most inferior, in my opinion, of anything. That's not to say hate that doesn't mean I hate white men, because I know I don't want your video getting flagged. I don't hate white men, but I don't feel like they're superior to anything. Headlights has a better ability to evolve than they do. So no. But what was your second part of the
the second part of this question was, you said that you can't find or call any strong Black woman. Would you put yourself on that line as well, as not a strong Black woman?
Well, I didn't know that it was including me, but I thought we were talking about that we're living. Off the top of my head. No, I can't. If I have to do it off the top of my head, no. But if we talk about people who are not alive, yeah, I can tell you some of them.
Okay. All right. Peace and Black Power, family. Welcome to another Sonetta TV House of Conscience production. I bring to you my brother out of Philadelphia, George Macon, in the building. What up, George?
What's happening, son?
Hey, George.
You know, I had Cynthia on my channel a couple times.
Right, you had it up there today, right? I was building.
Yeah. We talk a lot, and I think you know, Cynthia. There's a lot of things she said that I agree with. There's a lot of things that I disagree with. But one thing that I know is that Cynthia is a woman and she's speaking. I think a lot of times as men, when we hear things that we don't like as men, because a lot of times as Black men, we don't like correction. And when we hear things we don't like, even if it's true, we might not like the way it's coming out, the delivery. We just shut it down. But I think as men, we got to learn how to listen to certain things, like when our women are speaking, and we got to come together, because like I said, like she's saying, like we're not even together as men. Mm-hmm. So my question to her, from listening to her speak today, what is it that you need to see from Black men that will make you feel comfortable? And
good question, George. Good question.
Yeah, what is it that you need to see from Black men? And with that, what role you think that a lot of our single mothers should because there's a lot of single mothers where there's no fathers around at all. How can we go about changing the consciousness of some of these single mothers as to how they should be dealing with these boys inside the home? Because they're going to grow to be men too.
All right, George, you going to hang up and listen?
Yeah.
Or you want to stay on?
I stay on.
All right, but listen to your monitor, because you can't hear it on the phone.
All right.
Go ahead, Sister Cynthia.
So I think that, oh my God, I hate my brain right now because I forgot what his first question was. Oh,
what's your first question again, George? What's the first one?
I got it. I remember.
All right, she got it.
For me personally, I would love to see resistance from Black men, resistance to the dominating force. I would love to see resistance, and that doesn't mean I want them to go pick up arms and getting a shooting match. They don't have to do that. I would love to see them take agency over their own talent, over their own athleticism, for them to start acting like they understand their value and their worth as a group of men. There is no man on the face of this planet that is more valuable to humanity and life in general than Black men. And I would love to see them understand that and act on that. I hate seeing them in a subjugated position to lesser people who don't even possess a fourth of what they possessed. And I would love to see them start showing that they have more value for their community and show that they have more value in their women, and that they actually desire to preserve themselves as a Black man. And then in terms of what Black women can do when they're single mothers, I think Black women need to be very careful in terms of how they're speaking to their male children. Again, like I said, I don't think women should be disciplining male children because it is emasculating in and of itself. I think they also need to be very careful with what they allow their children to be exposed to, because there is a high rate of Black males who end up suffering sexual assault often at the hands of other Black women in the community. And I think that the women need to be more selective of who they allow their children to be around, the male ones, what they expose them to, and what they're saying to them. I think they need to have more rhetoric that builds up the sons and tear them down, because I've seen some hood rat moms that will walk around in public cussing their sons out, beating on their sons, and that doesn't do anything but contribute to the emasculation of the Black male.
All right, Brother George, you satisfied with that?
Yeah. That was cool. That's what I wanted to hear.
All right, you good? You got one last question and you can roll. Oh, you good?
All right. Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Thank you, my brother. Thank you, man. People call in, man. Thank you.
And see, George doesn't have a problem challenging anything that I say either. Like that's the thing. I appreciate strong Black men who have no problem challenging me. So
right, and there's nothing wrong with challenging the information as long as we keep it respectful. And that's what I want my people to do. That's what I want my brothers to do. Just keep it on the respectful level, y'all. Don't let your fangs come out, man. So call in, y'all. We got Cynthia G here. I don't know how long we're gonna have her here, but this is your chance to call in. She'll talk back to you. Talk to her, she'll talk back.
Call from unknown call.
Peace and Black Power family. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is Rohan calling from Brooklyn.
Rohan from Brooklyn. We got the lovely Cynthia G in the building. What's your question, brother?
Yeah, I just want to say peace and Black Power to you, Sonetta, and to Cynthia G. You're very beautiful, Cynthia. Thank you for coming on, sister. I appreciate everything that you've been saying so far. I don't agree with everything. And so I'd like to start with the question I have, which is, do we realize and acknowledge the legacy of the Willie Lynch letters and the practical implementation of the Willie Lynch letters on our people, and how it affected the roles of man and woman in a family dynamic, and how it's passed down through the generations, and the fact that we're not acknowledging that and saying we need to remedy that in some kind of come up with some kind of remedy towards that before we just put our hands up and act like we don't know what's happening, why if there's not a cause and effect. I feel like that's what's missing. Everything else you got to say, I'm with it, girl. I feel you. Queen, you've been saying some real stuff, but to knock down and hammer down so hard on the Black man without and forgetting that, he was feathered and tarred and pulled apart by two horses, and the man was negotiating with his woman after for her daughter, which made her put her son behind her and made her raise him in a minority sense, then, you know, we have to apply that. And that's all I'm saying. So do you recognize that? My question.
You understand, Cynthia?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, brother. You could go listen to the monitor. Thank you. Yes, go ahead,
So,
Cynthia.
I'm going to be honest. Like, I attempted to read the Willie Lynch letter in its entirety, but I didn't get past less than half of it because it was so disturbing and so demonic that it nearly sent me into a panic attack. It disturbed my psyche to a degree that I still to this day, I can't pick it up and finish reading it. So, but I did get to the part where what he's mentioning where, you know, they would tie, you know, a black man to a horse and have them hit the horses so they could run in different areas. So I do understand the psychological trauma. I also think, you know, and I agree with you that a lot of Black people are not willing to acknowledge that. In fact, I've heard too many of them say that the Willie Lynch letter is fake, even though we're a living example of how it's not fake. So I think we do need to start by rectifying that. I'm a firm believer that we can't accomplish anything with physical movement unless we deal with the mindset and the conditioning and the psychological trauma that Black people have faced. And I think that the problem is that on both sides, there's a lack of accountability. Like the Black community is not really open to taking accountability or realizing the psychological effects of things. I think that we tend to be a little too far removed from what went on the plantation, although a lot of our behavior mimics it today.
All right. Thank you, Du Bois, for that donation. Appreciate it. Love you. Thank you for the donation. Peace and Black Power family. What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Dante. I'm calling from Orlando, Florida.
Okay. What's your question, my brother? We got Cynthia G in the house. What's happening?
How you doing, Sister Cynthia?
I'm good. How are you?
I've been watching you for a bit, and as a Black man, I agree majority of what you say, because the leadership do start with the man. And when the Black man was brought over here, we've been broken down mentally. And that's why today, I think that's why we're so weak. And that's why we play a part in help the destruction of our own people. We've done it through religion, and now we do it through media, music. I just want to know, Cynthia, what is your perspective? What is your you know, what you think about how the music is destroying our youth mind nowadays?
I think the music is trash.
Thank you, brother. You can hang up.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Cynthia.
I think the music is trash. And I know that, you know, there has been a concerted effort to change and control the music and what we're putting out to our people, because there used to be a time when, and I even know in the 90s, there was very positive music, even in terms of the Black male, Black female relationship. Like we went from songs where, like, you had Tevin Campbell's where he was talking about can he get to know her, and from Shy talking about next time she'll be my best friend, talking about being one and only, to bitches, hoes, thoughts, they, you know, hit it and quit it. So I do realize that the music has been instrumental in promoting a certain narrative and a dysfunction between Black men and Black women. And that's why I think it's very important for Black people to take ownership of their musical distribution. I really do. Because right now, with white people owning the distribution, they're clearly going to choose to not put out music, not to distribute music that has a positive impact on the Black community. So that's just something else that we need to take control of in order to change that narrative, because you do have a lot of poison being pumped to the community through music. It's sad.
All right. Thank you. Family that's out there, I don't want y'all to think that in order for y'all to call in, y'all got to be agreeance with her. You could be strong on your point. I'm just saying, don't be disrespectful. So you could be strong on your point. You can come hard, but just be respectful. Peace and Black Power family. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, this is Lazarus. I'm calling from Tennessee.
All right. What's up, my brother Lazarus?
Hey, Cynthia G. How you doing? Can she hear me?
I'm good, thank you.
She hear
How
you,
are
brother.
you?
She said she's good. Just ask the question, and
Okay.
then you can hear her from your monitor.
Okay. Hey, this is first. Here's the question. I was wondering how much of Cynthia G on social media is a character or a persona, and what do you do in your personal life? Because I understand knowledge workers and I understand labor workers. But how much do you do in your personal life off of social media to assist in the community, to back up the things that you say on your YouTube channels? Like, what type of programs do you have for young women, or are you doing any of those type of things?
All right. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Go ahead, Cynthia.
So my YouTube persona is part of my personality. It's a part of my personality that's activated in terms of a war type scenario, so to speak. So it's not a character I'm making up. It's just a certain aspect of my personality. I believe that people have multifaceted personalities. It's about being versatile. That's what I talked about, having a versatile man where he can display certain parts of his personality in different arenas. So it's not a caricature. It really is a part of who I am. Now, in everyday life, I am much more laid back. Actually, the people who have met me, which I have actually befriended and talked to some people who have met me off of YouTube, and they will tell you that you almost would be dealing with a complete different person. I think people would be surprised to find how laid back and reserved I actually am. But outside of YouTube, I'm actually writing a book. I'm almost done with it. And I am getting into more mentorship for girls. I've always wanted to be involved in the youth system, specifically the juvenile court system. I've really wanted to be involved in that because I think that a lot of things do start with the youth. And so I'm going to start getting more involved with it, getting into mentoring the youth. But right now I'm trying to finish this book. And then I'm going to, from that, start establishing different foundations and trying to work with other people to do traveling ministries, for lack of better words. But I think it's important to get out there and travel and really work and try to change the mindset, recondition the mindset. And that's something that I'm going to start working on after I get my book out, because the book will fund my ability to do that.
All right. Peace and Black Power family. What's your name and where you calling from, brother?
This is Phantom from Cali.
All right. What's your question, my brother?
Yeah, I'm noticing that the problem that the black man and black woman are having is it's a lack of a thirst for power. If you notice how the white man and the white woman operate, they might not even get along. They might not even like each other, but they both have a thirst for power. So the situation I'm asking, this is unprecedented. You got a group of people who are moved across an entire ocean, stripped of their identity, their humanity. This is an unprecedented event in human history. So there's really no formula or no diagram to get out of this kind of situation other than the thirst and acquisition for power. If black people had that, shit would be over in less than a year, but niggas don't want to run their own show. Niggas want attention. So I'm asking Cynthia, what can we do to drive to want to run our own ship, run our own show? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay. Thank you, brother.
That's a very good question, because I agree completely with what he said. Black people have a very different nature and mentality and psychology than white people do. It's actually the polar opposite. Black people are the people have never needed power. They never thrived on power because they haven't been in a position to where they needed it. White people, lust for power is tied to their survival as a species, because the reality of it is like I keep trying to tell people, without this systemic power, they have nothing. They would have already died out. So this is like survival to them. But I don't know what it's going to take, really, because everything that could have been done has already been done to the Black community. So I honestly do not know what it's going to take. or what would need to happen in order for Black people to desire the power necessary to overturn. We do have a lot of power. We have a lot of inherent innate power, actually. But I don't know what it's going to take in order for us to be motivated to bring out that power and in order for it to manifest liberation. I honestly don't know. I'm trying to figure that out, quite frankly.
All right. Moses Jenkins, thank you for that $5 donation. Appreciate that. Peace and Black Power family. What's your name and where you calling from?
Terry from Seattle.
From Seattle. What's your name? Yes. What's your name?
Terry.
All right. Sister Terry, we got Sister Cynthia G in the building. What's your question, sister?
I wanted to ask Cynthia, do you think that, because I see her on YouTube, and I kind of, when I go into the chat, it's pretty much like being in Tommy Sotomayor's chat.
Can you take us off the speaker? Can you take it off the speaker so you can talk clearly? Yes.
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
You saying that you feel that she's somewhat like a female Tommy Sotomayor?
Yeah, can you hear me better?
I hear you a little better. I mean, but you know.
Is this better?
Yes, that's better. Go ahead, and you go ahead. You say the question again.
Okay, it seems like when I'm on YouTube and when I went into your chat, it's almost like being in Tommy Sotomayor's chat, except that it's a woman talking about the Black man. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is, how do you? I mean, you're basically doing the same thing. And my thing is, wouldn't it be better to just focus on sisterhoods, building up our communities through sisterhoods, like gathering the sisters and, building us up? I mean, wouldn't that be a better way to get rid of the so-called Black woman's image, bad Black woman image? All right, sister, you can stay on the phone. I like your question.
Yeah,
and
actually,
I'm gonna let Cynthia answer your question, but go ahead, sister. Go ahead, sister.
Yeah. If she could stay on, that would be fine. Because I actually have one question. Can you provide an example of how my my narrative is similar to Tommy's? Because she's not the only person who said that, and I'm always confused because I've watched some of Tommy's, very little of it, but I have watched some of his stuff. So I've been really anxious for someone to give me an example of how my narrative is similar to his.
All right, she's gonna come right on because she's a little late with the stuff you saying. All right, you hear what she's saying, sister? Terry, you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Did you hear what she said? She asked you a question after you asked her the question.
I didn't hear. What was the question?
Oh, you're not listening to the monitor?
No,
on your screen?
I'm not. No.
Well, she's saying, can you give her an example? Because she says she hear people say that sometime. So can you give her an example of what you mean by she sounds like Tommy Sotomayor, or she may, be relevant to Tommy Sotomayor when you enter into the chat room? Can you give her an example of what you mean?
An example of what I mean, Cynthia, is when I go into Tommy Sotomayor's chat, he's just dragging Black women daily. That's all he does. Then if I was to go in your chat room, it's the same thing except vice versa. You are dragging Black men, but you coming at it in a different angle. You pinpoint the downfalls, but then you kind of do it in a little bit more respectful way, but it's still the same thing.
So you're saying that
the same thing.
So you're saying that she beats down the Black man, but she don't pick him up after that. She don't give him the uplift.
You can say that. You can say that because my thing is, how is it helping them?
Okay, Sister Cynthia, I wish you had your monitor on so you can hear her talk to you.
Jabari, let me use your phone.
I think to compare.
Yeah, turn and hold up, Cynthia. Go to Black News 102 on YouTube and you can hear her speaking.
Black News 102 on YouTube.
Go ahead, Sister Cynthia.
I think that the core difference is that Tommy Sotomayor advocates for the death of Black men and Black women, okay? He calls them hair hats. He calls them Black bitches. He calls them very different negative words, and he spends all of his time not being solution-based, but finding a small sector of society and using it to represent the entire Black female diaspora. What I do is I go over accurate history with the intent for Black people to stop engaging in those behaviors. I do not advocate for the death of Black men. I've never defended the death of Black men. I've never made excuses for race soldiers murdering Black people. Never have I encouraged white people to go out and shoot Black people. So there is a very different narrative. I do not exempt white people from their role in the destruction of the Black community. However, if we're going to be effective, and if I'm going to talk about white supremacy, then I don't have a choice but to talk about how Black people contribute to white supremacy. So there's a difference between denigrating and calling for the death of your people and advocating on behalf of the white terrorists who try to exterminate them versus me pointing out the mistakes that Black people have made in the community and encouraging them to do better. So I'm feeling, to me, when people make that a similarity where there is none, I simply look at that as low comprehension. And that's no disrespect to her, but I'm failing to see where the similarities would be, especially when she said that you're doing it differently, but it's the same. Different and cannot be the same.
All right, Sister Terry, you there?
Yes, hello.
Did you hear some of what her response was?
I heard a little bit of it, but let me tell you, I comprehend very well because I'm going to tell you this. I can see clearly what Cynthia is doing. You're not doing nothing different from what Tommy Sotomayor is doing, miss. He casts down Black women and he says out of his mouth at the same time that he got love for the Black woman. But you're doing the same thing. You cast out your mouth, you put them down. I hear noise. You cast out your mouth, you put them down, and you turn around and do the same thing. Say it a little bit more respectfully. You're not uplifting. He's not uplifting. How is any of you making a difference by getting on YouTube doing what you're doing? How is it making a difference? You're not making a difference.
It's interesting because she just said she doesn't have low comprehension, but she missed the part where I just pointed out the fact that Tommy isn't just criticizing Black women. He is calling for the death of Black people. He is saying that white supremacy is not the problem, that Black people are just genetically flawed with low IQs and should be murdered by police. So how is it that you just got on here and said that you don't have low comprehension, but you either chose to ignore that part of it or you simply did not understand what I'm saying? Pointing out how somebody is complicit in their own oppression is not the same as tearing them down.
Yes, because you cannot.
Yeah, she's speaking right now.
Because you cannot resolve an issue if you don't point out the problem. Even if you go to therapy, for example, if you go to behavioral therapy, nobody would tell the psychiatrist that they're demeaning the person by pointing out their problematic behavior so that they can understand what they're doing and change. So just because you don't understand the process by which you resolve issues, that's not on me. Again, I don't call for the extermination of Black people. I don't defend white supremacy. I don't advocate for Black people dying. I don't call Black men bastard baby makers and advocate for the abortion of Black people. So you would have to have low comprehension to see it as the same, unless you simply see it as the same based solely on the fact that what I say, some of the things that I say is negative, and that's because the behaviors are negative. And what he says is negative. If you're relegating it to that, then you're only able to see it on a surface level, and maybe that's the problem. So again, like I said, check your comprehension. It's not up to me to determine for you what's an equivalent and what's not.
All right, Sister Terry, last question, last response, and I'm gonna move on. Go ahead, sister.
Okay, so my last response is, can you just ask, well, Cynthia can hear me. If you focus on sisterhood means building sisterhoods in your local community or districts, wherever you live. If you was to gather some women together and you guys get together and talk about positive building in the community and stuff like that, and what we need to do as Black women and things like that, would that be better? Would you be better off making a difference that way? Or do you really believe that you're making a difference by getting on YouTube, doing what you're doing? Because to me, I think you'll be much happier doing the first, what I just mentioned. Because when I see you, you don't look so happy doing this every day.
All right, sister, you can hang up and you can listen to it on the monitor. Thank you for calling in.
All right, thank you.
All right.
If I felt like it would be more constructive to build a sisterhood and gather around with women to talk about Black women's issues in an attempt to defeat white supremacy, then I would be doing that. But I know that we didn't get into a system of white supremacy because there's a lack of sisterhood. So the thing of it is I don't feel like that's an effective means. If you feel like that's an effective means, then I would encourage you to build a sisterhood, because you absolutely can do that. I'm doing what I believe would be more constructive. And the situation with our community isn't happy. It is not a good situation. So of course, having to pick apart what's going on, the origins of it. No, it doesn't make me happy. Actually, it's spiritually exhausting. It's mentally exhausting. And when I look at the state of the Black community, it's very, very discouraging. However, I still feel obligated to come up and try and do what I believe is my part in terms of trying to educate the Black community and recondition them. And again, if I felt like building a sisterhood would be conducive to liberation from white supremacy, I would be doing it. But that's not the way we're going to be liberated. We need our men to step up to the plate and do something to fight against this systemic oppression. That is the only way that we're going to get out of this. The women are obligated to support the men in their efforts, but we cannot do this if the men don't get up and feel a vested interest in fighting for liberation. It's just not going to happen.
All right. Peace and Black Power family. What's your name and where you calling from? Peace and Black Power family. What's your name? Turn it down in the background, my brother. Turn it down. Turn it down in the back.
Okay, this is Zach by way of Mississippi. How's it going? So I got a question for Cynthia G. Do you feel like the Black men could impact the community positively on an individual level, or do you think it has to be a collective?
All right, brother. Thank you. You can hang up and listen to it on the monitor. Turn it back up now. All right, go ahead, Sister Cynthia.
I think there are already some Black men who are trying to do things on an individual level, but we're not subjugated on an individual level. We're subjugated on a collective level. So I think ultimately for change to occur is going to take Black men to unite and do something on a collective level with the support and backing of their women. Because again, it would be dishonest to say there's not Black men trying to do something on an individual level, because they are, but their efforts are not working because it's on an individual level. Even with your oppressors are not operating on an individual level to oppress you. They can't oppress you individually. They have to do that on a collective level. All of them, to some degree, if not all, the vast majority have to play their role in order to keep you subjugated, even if it's in a very minute form that you just don't understand. So when you're dealing with this level of subjugation, you need collective efforts, not individuals, because there are already Black men individually doing something. I have to run to the bathroom. I've been holding it in. So
all right, go ahead, sister. Go ahead. Take your time. Go ahead. Okay. Go do that. And let me play my call back, brother. Let me play my joint so y'all can know. I mean, this is for everybody's show. Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another Sonetta TV production. Black News 102. Black News Alert. All right, family. Black Power. This is a disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this video are not necessarily represent the views and opinions held by this channel's owner, Sarnetta, Black News 102, and News Sarnetta Studios. The owner of these channels is just the messenger, and we share information having no intentions whatsoever to misrepresent or mislead anybody. Unfortunately, we cannot always warrant the total accuracy of the information in this video. And cannot be held accountable for error. Enter at your own risk, family. Peace and Black power. All right. Thank you. That goes out for everybody. Everybody get that right there.
Call from unknown caller.
Peace and Black power, family. What's your name? Where you calling from? Excuse me. Peace.
Hello, can I be heard?
Peace. What's happening?
Hello?
Hell is low, man. What's going on, man? What's up, man? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, peace on that. Hey, I'm just gonna use my YouTube name. I go by the name Big Game Orenthal James on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
Right now, I'm calling from California.
Okay. I'm good. We got Cynthia G in here as a guest. How much time do you got, Cynthia? About another 10 minutes?
Yeah, because I'm really hungry and I.
Okay. All right. We're going to give our sister another 10 minutes. By the time 5:37, we out of here. It's 5:27 right now. Make it quick, brother. What's up?
All right. So I originally had a few questions, but just really quickly, I wanted to say, does she think that it is revealing that a large number of her fan base crosses over with Crystalline Karazin, Miss Archduchess, and several other women who are known for black male bashing? Also, some of these women have actually said they advocate for the abortion of black male babies. Does she think that it's odd that a ton of her fans actually cross over to that demographic? And I think that's it.
Oh, Cynthia, you clear on the question?
Yeah, but he's actually wrong, and I don't know how he think he can speak for my level of subscribers.
All right, go ahead. Answer it, my sister. Thank you, my brother. Peace.
But while some of my subscribers do subscribe to those same people that he's mentioning, like Crystalline Karazin and some other people, some of them do, but I wouldn't say a significant portion. And I've already said, if he was listening to the entire thing, I said that there are some women who have come to my channels and who have been on my Instagram account who have advocated for the abortion of black men. Now, whenever I hear these comments being made, I make it a habit to point out that I don't stand for that. I don't advocate for that. However, I did point out in this very interview that a lot of black women are starting to say that more and more, some out of self-hatred, but some because they really feel like it's a solution to the problem, because they don't see black men being willing to step up and change anything. They just see them as passing the blame to their women, aligning themselves with the white community. So I feel like this is a big issue, and I think it needs to be addressed, and I think it needs to be dealt with, because in the future, I see more black women adopting that same mentality. There's already
All right. Peace and Black Power, family. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is Rohan from Brooklyn.
Rohan, you called in earlier, right?
Yeah, I did. I just got one more question.
Come on, brother. Let's go.
All right. You had spoken about the hairstyle, and I feel you, sister. I hear you, but I just got to fight back on that a little bit. And so I got a question. Don't you think that, Sarnetta's hat, he chose his hat for a reason. Everything we wear is a promotion. Do you think that it's important for a pro-black woman to represent our people and to promote the hairstyle that's been marginalized and proactively demeaned across the world? Don't you think, as a role of a black woman, that's important?
I think if you consider yourself pro-black, and you think a certain hairstyle is symbolic of that, then yeah, I think you should. But I also said in this, I don't associate myself with pro-blackness. And I don't think that hairstyle is important in terms of my message. No, I don't. And I've said that already.
All right. I want to thank you, my sister Cynthia G. Give your info. Let the people know where they could continue to go and hear your view, your perspective, and your information. Give them your YouTube channel. Give them all your give them all your stuff, sister.
Okay, and you can take one more question if you want to.
Okay, I'll take another one.
But my channel is Cynthia G, just like Sonetter said in the a while ago. If you just type that into YouTube, it will come up. Actually, all three of my channels will come up under that. I've already tried it, and they do come up. All three of my channels do.
Yes, they do, because I did that, and I seen them all. So it's no more questions, but I just want to thank you for taking the time out, my sister, coming over to talk to us. And hopefully we'll get another part 2, probably next month sometime. I ain't gonna be, dragging you over here all the time. I'm gonna come over there once a month or something and see what we got on the plate. All right, sister?
Yeah, and I do want people to know, I understand why they're reacting the way that they're reacting. I do understand that. I know that what I'm saying is not a popular opinion. I know that it's very controversial. I know that people don't want to hear it. But I think that in a way, we've been coddled too long in terms of how we're contributing to our own oppression. The fact of the matter is that we do live under a system of oppression, but there are things that we're doing that's exacerbating that if we stop doing it, our situation and circumstance could get better. I mean, with the embracing and the notion and implementation of Black love, white supremacy can exist in that environment. This is why they work around the clock to make sure you hate yourself. They do that. They've conditioned us and done whatever it took to make sure we hate ourselves, because they understand that your mentality and the way you perceive yourself is going to dictate how you respond to white supremacy. And based on our lack of self-love, we are reinforcing the notion of white supremacy. So there are some things that we can do, that we can change, mentalities that we can get rid of that will make great change. Like, we could simply solve our problem by adopting self-love. And that's because when you love yourself and you value yourself, there are certain things that you're just not going to allow. But this is why whenever we promote Black love, white people get very offended, because they understand that Black empowerment and Black self-love and white supremacy cannot exist. It can't coexist. So that's why I point out the things that we do. And it may seem harsh, but change isn't comfortable. Embracing the truth isn't comfortable. And we have to get through the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it is, in order to really facilitate healing.
Let me say this in closing, brothers. This goes out to you. And those of y'all who know me know I used to bang hard on my sisters when I had that bullhorn days, and I'm out there on the 125th. I used to go in. And I used to bang on my sisters with their hairstyle. I used to go in on them for that. Until one day, I did that to a sister, and she just broke down crying right in front of me. And I'm looking at her like, why is she crying? I'm talking about her hair. Come to find out, the reason why she was wearing a weave, and I'm not saying all the sisters do it, but this particular sister did that, and it hurt me. It touched me when I found out. I apologized to her. But the only reason why she wore her weave, because she had cancer and her hair she was bald headed. And that's what made me fall back, because I felt that shit. You see what I'm saying? So I said, nah, I ain't gonna deal with her hair, because it's really what's inside of the person's head. I've seen sisters with locks and on the arm of the white man. So right there, I know it ain't about the hair. It's what's inside of your consciousness. That's what's more important, brothers. So we got to really be careful, because we really could tear down our sisters and we don't really know what's going on in her life. All right. So that's just some words of wisdom. Thank you, my sister Cynthia G. Thank you for coming through, and peace and Black power to the family. Thank you. We out of here.
Definitely. Thanks for having me. And anytime. I'm pleasantly surprised actually by coming on here. So.
All right. Thank you, my sister. We out. Peace.
Bye.
All right. Always remember this, family, for everybody. Peace and Black power, family. Welcome to another Sonetter TV production. Black News 102. Black News Alert. All right, family? Black power. This is a disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this video are not necessarily represent the views and opinions held by this channel's owner, Sarnetta, Black News 102, and News Sarnetta Studios. The owner of these channels is just the messenger, and we share information having no intentions whatsoever to misrepresent or mislead anybody. Unfortunately, we cannot always warrant the total accuracy of the information in this video, and cannot be held accountable for error heard enter at your own risk, family. Peace and Black